All right. So, thank you, Gayatri, for the wonderful introduction. Good timing for introducing this topic, essential etiquettes in organizations, because this is perhaps the time. And let me give you a brief history of how this session actually came into being. In my introduction, you heard that I have been working with India's largest pharmaceutical giant. And very surprisingly, while the company is the largest pharmaceutical company in India, they requested to have their people trained on basic etiquettes, corporate etiquettes, simple, basic, essential sessions, because they have scientist level people working with them. But what gets missed very often is those basic skills, those basic human communication exchanges, the right way of working, etc. And that was the birth of this session, which we now carry forward for all of you in a very compact package on what, once you enter the organization, becomes essential and important to adhere with for career growth and for good relationship building in corporates. So the first and foremost thing that we take a look at is the basic definition of etiquettes. Uh, it is code of polite behavior. That is it. As simple as that. But where? In any group, maybe that group is a team of 5 people, maybe that group is a 50 people, 100, 500 people department, maybe that group is entire country. And each group establishes some informal ways of working that are not written down anywhere as a standard operating procedure, but which we must all understand, which we might sometimes call as the culture of an organization, which we should understand and then behave accordingly. So that is etiquette. Now, what we will go through in the next 1 hour is how communication influences our career and how we should be behaving in daily life through our communication, social mannerisms, our body language specifically, that will begin with. How workspace should be organized in terms of, many people use the workspace in very different ways. So how do we respect others through our use of the workspace? Then we will go through etiquettes, internet etiquettes, conference calls, meetings, uh, all those things, email etiquettes, perhaps if time permits. Meetings are a significant part of a corporate life, and mostly it is a feeling that people have that meetings are the most inefficiently run. So how to make every meeting matter might be a very small section we'll look at, again, if time permits. Then we will end with a few other important corporate etiquettes, right? And if again time permits, a brief note on dress code, how to dress well, because the first impression created in front of any person in an organization is through our attire. Now, let's get started. In the aspect of body language, the first thing that we take a look at is this. It might seem common sense, it might seem even silly, downright silly to us, but it forms the greatest, biggest, largest mistake that we make in a company, which demonstrates disrespect to other people, which is what? Looking at our watch. So here is my first question to all of you. Can you guess the person who is looking at his watch in the screen? Who might it be? Take a shot, give a
Donald
guess.
Trump.
The chat window. Donald Trump is our first guest from Gayatri. Thank you, Gayatri. Okay. So one guess is Donald Trump. How about our other participants? Let me just quickly see that Prince of UK, pretty close. All right. Donald Trump, Prince of UK. What about our other participants? What are you thinking? Who might this be? Take a guess. It's okay if you don't know. We are here to learn. There are no right or wrong answers in my session. I see participation in the evening is lacking. Only 2 answers so far. Fair enough. Not to wait on this one point here. There will be other opportunities to share and participate later on as well. This is the President of the United States on the moment, Joe Biden. And he looked at his watch 3 times in the middle of a very important event, which was honoring the soldiers who died in Kabul, Afghanistan. They were being brought home in caskets. An honorary service was being done for them. And this one gesture of Joe Biden has been heavily criticized in the media across the world. And my friends, that's the exact same thing that will happen if we accidentally, out of habit, look at our mobiles. How would you feel if in the middle of the session I start looking at my mobile? Yes?
10 minutes of break.
Do we have some background noise? Okay, thank you. This is a very simple basic thing that we overlook. We happen to look at our watches. We happen to look at our mobiles in the middle of meetings, in the middle of conversations with other people, which is a high, significant form of disrespect. Common sense, let's take care of this from now on. We of course know it is bad to finger point. But then what is the alternative? See, we know what not to do, but what to replace it with? Open hand gestures. When we talk with people, open-handed gesture, the palm pointing upwards and more or less outwards. Not like this, not like this, not like this. These body language gestures become important because this is the gesture of truthfulness, honesty, welcome, and you will stand a far greater chance of convincing people whom you talk to when you use open-handed gestures and not closed off body language positions and postures. Now a question to all of you over here. This person on the screen, the way he has seated himself in the cross leg position, the legs are crossed, one leg crossed on the other. What do you feel? Question सुनना जरा. आपको feeling क्या आ रही है उनको देख के? Not what he is doing. I don't want the answer what he is doing. I want the answer how do you feel from that gesture? Please answer this in the chat window or by unmuting yourself.
Yeah, so it feels like he's the boss of the company.
Absolutely.
And he's very strict from his body pose.
True. Yes, Shubham, absolutely. Even Kuntal is saying bossy and arrogant. Gayatri has written down attitude dikh raha hai. Ajit sir is saying it, he's not interested. Shivam is saying it feels arrogant. Now, see, we all have more or less come to similar conclusions about this body language posture. But do you know we do this all the time? We sit in this posture all the time. Now, you might be surprised about the genetic, how we as a human being have evolved, and this gesture has, come in our genetic makeup. 1 lakh years ago when we were evolving, the one thing that mattered most was survival. The only thing that mattered is I need to survive longer, for a longer period of time. And when I cross myself off, my hands off, my feet off, it is the primitive posture, a gesture of protection. I'm trying to protect myself. Moreover, this was also the gesture of leadership. When the leader of tribes, when we started colonizing together, living together, when the leaders were elected, they used to sit in this posture, which also gave out a simple form of threat. कि देखो मैं boss हूं, मुझसे पंगा मत लो. And from that moment onwards, we have been using this posture when we sit alone, when we sit comfortably. If you are relaxing, what do? Sometimes you use this feet gesture. However, something that actually increases your confidence, which boosts your feeling of arrogance. When people see arrogance, what are you feeling? You are feeling confident. A good gesture done in isolation, when nobody is around you and you do this, you get a boost of confidence. It is extremely harmful in a corporate environment. Never ever sit in this cross-legged position again in front of other people. That is the point, right? So surprising thing, something that is good for you is not so good in front of others. Yes, of course, we all recognize the shaking of the feet as something that is not good. So when we are in a meeting room, or when we are sitting in front of others, we should never shake our legs. I'll just need to confirm from our participants if the Zoom sharing is still going on, because there appears to be some form of error happening at my end in Zoom. Can Gayatri or HT sir?
Screen is fully visible. Perfect. Dhvani, you are not audible.
Sir, I think there is an internet issue. He might be having a low network.
Dhvani. Yes, Dhvani may rejoin. There is some issue. That's what he was calling. Yeah. Just waiting for Dhvani to rejoin.
સર પટેલ સર
Yes.
અજીત બોલું છું.
હા.
આપણે બોડી લેંગ્વેજ ને એ બધા ટોપિક એટલે ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે કે એની ઉપર એક સેપરેટ સેશન આપણે લેવું પડે?
લેતા હોઈએ છીએ અને લઈ શકાય ને ડેફિનેટલી.
કારણ કે એ બહુ સિલી લાગે છે, કારણ ક્યાંય પણ આપણને એ શીખવા મળતું નથી, અને ધેટ ઇઝ ધ રીઝન વી આર કમિટિંગ મિસ્ટેક ઇન અવર કોર્પોરેટ લાઈફ એઝ વેલ. સેકન્ડલી મારું ઓબ્ઝર્વેશન એ પણ હતું કે સિગારેટ અને આ પાન બીડી પડીકી એની ઉપર બધા લખ્યા હોય છે ઇટ ઇઝ ઇન્જુરિયસ ટુ હેલ્થ, અને આપણે બધા ભણેલા છીએ અને બધા જાણીએ પણ છીએ, અને છતાં સોરી.
Dhvani is back. Let him. Dhvani, you may. અજીતભાઈ ને આપણે છેલ્લે કહીશું.
Definitely. Thank you. I think Zoom just gave up on me. I'll go ahead now. So as you see on the screen, the posture that we should be using when we sit in front of others is the feet firmly planted on the ground and parallel to the shoulders, more or less. Now, there are other similar hand gestures that come out in front of others, which does not leave a good impression. For example, holding the hands like this, crossing our hands in front of our body against others, and as I have explained, they are again, primitive gestures of protecting ourselves. And the way we then should be seated in a chair in a meeting in a company is the hands placed on the armrest of the chair if the armrests are available, or on our lap as shown in the image. Now, there is this very common thing which we have experienced, all of us, in our childhood in the school. When one class finishes, we stand up, or when a teacher enters the classroom, we stand up and wish the teacher, and the chair makes a noise. We have all experienced that. That is no longer acceptable in a corporate. So we must be very, very careful, especially in meetings, that the chair does not make any form of noise when we leave the chair or sit in the chair. As I said, see, we all understand these common sense elements which become absolutely essential for your career progress. If any one single point of time, one of these common sense errors impact the mind of the other person, maybe your chances for a career growth dim in the eyes of others. Again, spinning in chairs usually, and I have observed this happen multiple times in my 10-year career, when somebody is excited, when somebody wants to say something, when somebody has a great idea in a meeting, this kind of a rocking happens. Just observe my video. People rock in the chair. And this doesn't look good in front of others. Right? So again, something basic and essential to be taken care of. Now, I will not go into a quiz format over here regarding considering the time that we have in our hand. There will be 6 photographs coming on the screen, and there are 2 essential common things in all these 6 photographs. All of these 6 photographs have the people touching their face and the neck in some form of way or the other, and they are all gestures which represent insincerity. Maybe a lie, maybe a truth not told, maybe boredom, maybe very critical gesture of looking at you and analyzing and judging you. None of these gestures give a good impression about how you behave. Simple rule rakhiye, don't touch your face when you are communicating with other people. As simple as that. Because any gesture sends a subconscious meaning to the other person from your communication. Right? Perhaps the only acceptable positive gesture would be what Elon Musk is doing with the thumb and the finger on the chin, which is like deep thinking and analyzing. But again, keep the rule simple. Don't touch your face when you talk to people. Now we move on to the other aspects of communication. Right out of college, the first basic error that we make is start using our normal WhatsApp language like yeah, BRB into our email communication and spoken communication also. So this is not acceptable in corporates. As we move up the corporate ladder, one thing is for sure, our communication should be more precise with the use of complete words and sentences, grammatically correct complete words and sentences. We all make the common error now of using the letter U in place of YOU, right? So in written communication and spoken communication, those things will not be acceptable anymore in organizations. Something we need to be absolutely careful as students. Now, it is basic understanding not to interrupt people when they are speaking, no matter what, because no matter how wrong the other person might be, or maybe that person might be wasting time, your reputation will be lost when we interrupt. There is this basic rule of responding, and this one thing that you see on the screen has cracked interviews. I assure you, my friends, in the ITM college that we all know in this regional area, where I had given an interview skills session. One student actually walked up to me the next time after 2 weeks and said, "Sir, this one thing of taking time to respond nailed my interview." So it is that important. Never be in a hurry to rush an answer to any question or any discussion in meetings in corporates. Take your time, count out 4 seconds. Your brain will get time to think through what you really want to say and mean and eliminate silly answers. See, in the exam of life, which starts when you join a company, casual talk with friends goes away. Each and every sentence and word becomes important, and silly answers are no longer acceptable. Silly casual answers. So take 4 seconds to respond to any question. 4 seconds is acceptable waiting period. Right? It will give you plenty of time to collect your thoughts and present the best answer forward. Now, how much information is too much information in the corporate environment? Here, there are two rules, two etiquettes in conflict with each other. See, on one hand, we hear that we should not share too much in a professional environment. We should keep a professional environment and personal life separate. On the other hand, there's this other etiquette that is taught to us, that we need to build relationships. We need to establish trust. But how will that happen if we do not share details about of our personal life with people? Right? So the balance between the two is brought on by something that is known as the know, like, and trust factor. If you want people to be convinced by you and believe in you, they need to trust you. For people to trust you, they need to like you first as a person. And when will a person like you? If they know you personally. So here is my advice to bridge the divide in the two etiquettes. Share only so much necessary about your personal life meaning about who you are, about what you like, you dislike. Share only so much as to generate the know, like, and trust factor, and that is enough. Beyond this, sharing too much is unnecessary in the professional environment. Now, you might think this photograph that is here is COVID advisory. Stay at home if you are sick, cover coughs and sneezes. You'll be surprised. This is not COVID advisory. This is general health advisory. This existed way before COVID existed. And the problem with this is, in corporates, we forget to take care of these things. There are genuine healthcare concerns in corporates where people don't cover their faces, their noses like this when they sneeze, don't dispose of the right tissues or handkerchiefs or napkins in the dustbin. So this is also an essential element of corporate etiquettes that we need to take care of. Finally, we come halfway mark in our session on this aspect, respect. While I would love to have your answers on what respect means to you, I'm rushing forward by giving you the definition of what respect actually means. Dictionary definition. It is admiration. It has to be shown. Emphasis on the word shown. I respect you, but you don't know I respect you. So I need to show that I respect you. Right? For what? For a good idea or a quality that you possess. And how is it demonstrated? See, I'm emphasizing this word shown and demonstrated because we will soon realize how our body language tells the other person we are listening to them. We are interested in what they have to say, how polite we are. All these are gestures of demonstration. So ultimately, a significant way of giving respect is to encourage people to do their best, to be kind to them, to listen to them. And here is what I share now. two, or rather I would say three very, very powerful ways in which you can demonstrate you are listening. First and foremost, everybody, wherever you are right now, do this one thing. Sit upright. कमर सीधी कर लीजिए. Everybody sit upright. Do you notice a small wave of alertness? You are more alert than you were 10 seconds ago. There's this instinctual alertness that comes into you, and that is visible to the person sitting across the table in a corporate. When people see you are attentive, you are alert, they will feel you are ready to listen. You are interested. And that interest is then demonstrated occasionally in the conversations by leaning forward slightly. When we lean forward slightly, it indicates we are interested in what they have to say. And that demonstrates respect to them. Now, this is perhaps the easiest and the most powerful way to respect people, the head nod. Now, how it is supposed to be done, I will share. Usually, I will split people in three categories. One category is people who continuously head nod to whatever the other person is saying. They keep on head nodding. Well, that's better than no head nodding at all, which is the second category. No head nodding at all. The right way to head nod is this. See, whenever we are conversing with people, every 3-4 sentences will take around 15 seconds or so, 15 to 30 seconds or so. And every 15 to 30 seconds, nod your head once or twice slowly. Once or twice slowly. That is good enough. Now, the most interesting part is how powerful this is from a subconscious evolutionary perspective. A head nod symbolizes what? Look at this. I am bowing down my head to you. It is submission. I am submitting to you. In its own way, I am welcoming you. In the Indian culture, गुजराती में मैं कुछ कहना चाहूंगा, जे नमे ते सौने गमे. जो झुकता है वो सबको प्यारा होता है. In the Japanese culture, we see respect is shared by greeting people by bowing down. So the head nod is a slight minor gesture of that submission to the other person. Second, we all know the head nod when done vertically is, oh, I understand you. So it not only signifies respect, paying attention, it signifies understanding as well. एक तीर से 3 निशान. So use this every 15 seconds. Nod your head once or twice slowly with the other people from now on. All right. Let me just take a look at time. It is 7 o'clock already. Is our success in the corporate environment going to be determined by what we give? Not only that. See, we need to do things that get respect to us in return. And how to get respect? What are the actions we have to take to get respect in return? Respect का एक और aspect देख लेते हैं. Sociometric status. See, what is really going to boost happiness and well-being? And there is research done on this, that it is not your increments or appraisals or how much money you get. Basically, socio-economic status. It is not socio-economic status that is statistically related to happiness and well-being. It is sociometric status. So, ये sociometric status का measurement 3 चीजों से बनता है. पहले तो sociometric status is respect and admiration in local face-to-face groups. Local face-to-face groups. अगर इज्जत कमानी है तो आपके दोस्तों से, आपके peers and colleagues से, your own, not self-esteem, but your own report of yourself, how you think others respect you. And finally, the number of leadership positions you will be holding in the future, not only in the organization, but in society as well. That is going to determine your sociometric status. And when you take the actions necessary to increase your peer ratings and your number of leadership positions held, you will start getting respect in return. Simple, basic steps. Start getting involved in social activities. Maybe it's organizing the Vadodara Marathon. Maybe it's organizing Maker Fest that is coming up. When you take involvement and roles and responsibilities in social activities, your status grows, your respect grows. You have to eventually be involved in a number of social activities and take leadership positions to gain more and more respect. In an organization, there are plenty of activities and initiatives that run, of which you can start being a part of. Now, of course, friendships and relationships are important. That goes without saying. And finally, integrity. Your trustworthiness, which will be dependent on 4 factors. Whether you stand true to your commitments and walk the talk, that is integrity. Whether you declare your intentions, which is transparency. How transparent are you? That will get respect in return. The third thing is your skills. How skilled are you? How capable are you? See, if you are not skilled, having integrity is like being a good boy. तुम अच्छे बच्चे हो, पर स्किल नहीं है तो मैं रिस्पेक्ट नहीं दूंगा आपको, मैं ट्रस्ट नहीं करूंगा for you to do a good job. Which brings us to the 4th and final element of trustworthiness. Your ability to bring results. Reputation precedes you. If you have known to achieve things in life, if you have been known by other people, this person gets results. Not only capable, gets results also, you will get more and more respect and trustworthiness in society. So these are the things you must do when you join organizations, besides your technical abilities. Finally, not finally, moving on this subject. Let's give the presentation just a second to recover and go ahead. Yes. So this video, I'll just enable optimize for video clip over here. This video demonstrates beautifully how a traffic policeman in Los Angeles is sharing respect to the people he catches. Just see this.
Video has not started.
Video has not yet started. It's processing, it seems. We'll give the presentation a second to move ahead. Either we begin it, either it begins now or we move ahead.
This is LA Sheriff's Deputy Elton Simmons, and I bet you don't like him already. Seeing him there.
I think the video is not playing out well, so I will skip this right now.
You like the bike?
True. The resources that law upholders get in those countries is exceptional. Give me just a second. So of all the days, my presentation chose to misbehave. It was today. It's all right. Now, speaking about workplace decorum, there are the two essential elements of workplace decorum is allowing other people to do their job while doing our job. And the most distracting elements of workplace decorum is noise and smells. The smell that arise maybe from our desk or through food, right? So that is something that we need to take care of. There are on the next slide you will see there are 7 smell offenders, of which fast foods, onion based foods that we carry, and you will see these two new ones, perfume. Even perfume is a smell offender. Can you believe it? So simple rule, chips का पैकेट, बिस्किट का पैकेट कभी भी डेस्क पे मत खाना. Don't keep it at desk. It is extremely unhygienic in the office environment. And the perfume part of it also is related to etiquette. Avoid strong perfumes, colognes, and deodorants. Now, if we move on to the noise part of things, there are multiple ways in which people, colleagues in the office disturb other people. So this is one of them. Just let us take a very quick look on this video if it plays. All right. So seems we are going to miss on all the video fun today in our session. Here is a quiz question now. When we enter the co-worker's workspace, cubicle, it is known as a cubicle, and we see that they are talking on the phone. Which one of the 4 options will you choose as your behavior? ये बताइए कि आप वहीं पे खड़े रहेंगे till the other friend or colleague finishes their call. Will you use silently sign language, or will you, because what you have is important, you will interrupt them, just a minute, and let them know what it is? Or will you write a note that you want to talk to them later and you will try to reach them later also? So which one of the 4 options will you select? So I see that 2 people have chose option A, 2 people have selected option B. Then there are Jigar and Kishore who select option D, Gayatri as well. Good. All right. A and D, which means Sanjana has selected this on the basis of situation, depending on the situation, isn't it? Now, good. Nirmal is selecting A. Excellent participation. Let me give you 2 guidelines to consider in such situations, which will happen all the time in a company. This situation is extremely common in a company. We will always be deciding, baat karu na karu, interrupt karu na karu, kya karu. So 2 thumb rules to consider what to do. First thumb rule is this. Sorry, I'll just go back one slide. When we put ourselves in the shoes of others, our judgment, the first principle is our judgment happens on the basis of behavior, but not on intention. Look at this very interesting thing. If I am taking an action, I am assuming mera intention acha hai, it's okay to disturb. It's okay to use sign language. Correct? Or it is okay to stand right next to that person when that person is on the call. Because my intention is good, it is okay to do that. However, how is the other person going to judge us? They don't know we have good intentions. Other people judge on the basis of behavior. So what we should be looking at in ourselves is not our intention. Intention is important, definitely. But we should be looking at our behavior. From which perspective? The second thumb rule is the perspective should be that of the other person. Now, imagine the whole situation. You are on the phone. You are on the phone and another person is approaching you and standing there. Will you finish the phone call? How will you feel? यार तुम यहाँ पे क्यों खड़े हो? मैं फोन पे हूँ, दिख नहीं रहा? I might be on a very important call. I might not want any interruption. Correct? I will be the person on the phone will decide to allow the other person to talk or not, use sign language or not, take a minute or not. We as a person approaching the person on call cannot decide what to do. The only thing we can do is through a WhatsApp or a SMS or an email or a note, a sticky note, let them know we had work with them. And if it is so important and urgent that we cannot leave their presence, don't stand there. There is something known as Proxemics, which demonstrates the level of privacy and respect given to people. And you can see that on the screen. So with respect to the previous question, first and foremost, if you cannot leave the person alone, you have to solve your query and problem. Go and stand far away. See, they know you have reached there. They know you have some business over there with them. Go far away at a distance where you can neither hear the conversation and the person feels, हाँ मुझे मेरे पास अब privacy है मेरा phone call continue करने की. Right? The person on the phone will decide whether to call you again or not. So if you observe these zones, now forget the phone call conversation. We are moving into a different territory of etiquette. Never, ever, ever get closer than 3 feet with people. The reason is, again, going back to 1 lakh years ago, the way we have evolved is for survival, our first instinct is protection. And all sorts of survival alarms go off in our mind when people approach the barrier closer than 1 meter. Right? It is full of threats. Unless that person is a known person, a friend, a very close person to us, we allow that to not be a threat. But the first time we meet people, 4 feet of distance. When we get comfortable and adjusted as a colleague in the professional office environment, never lesser than 3 feet, which is 1 meter. Please remember this, right? So let me give you a practical example. घर में जब लड़ाई झगड़ा होता है, do people get closer or do people move far away? They move far away. They move away from each other because they want more space, more privacy from the other person. Think about this. In a ladai jagda, if one person moves closer, this person will feel a threat. This person is being very, very aggressive. Correct? Culture to culture, it changes. Americans have a need for a wide range of space. Japanese people have a need of very close range of space. So it's like, I want to establish a good rapport with you. A Japanese person will step closer to you. If an American person you step closer to, the American person will feel suddenly offended, suddenly uncomfortable, and that person will step back. Now, the way it will play out in the Indian context is something like this. We need to be careful about how and when we approach people. If we sense the person is stepping away from us, or not literally stepping back, leaning backwards, you take a step back and give them space and comfort. If you observe people leaning inside, याद करो हमने पहले क्या सीखा? When we lean in across the table, we are showing interest. So people leaning towards you are showing interest. At that moment, if you feel uncomfortable, it's a very tricky situation. If it is a person of importance, that conversation, that rapport, that relationship is important to you, manage your discomfort, stand your ground in the professional environment. Right? Unless subconsciously, you of course take a step back. Of course, the situation matters. Of course, the professional context matters. Of course, the gender matters. All right. So, I see that annotations have started. Let me very quickly just clear all annotations and disable annotations again. Right. So we are at 7:25. I will perhaps take 10 more minutes. See, we have to be ultimately mindful of the office furniture and the equipments, how we use the office stationery and the office spaces. The world is full of examples of misuse of office furniture just because they do not belong to us personally. घर में जिस तरह से हम हमारे ऑब्जेक्ट्स को ट्रीट करते हैं, ऑफिस में भी वही रिस्पेक्ट मिलना चाहिए, which translates back into respect. How you organize the office space around you has a huge, it says a great deal about how you are. You know, when we see an office desk which is messy, which is unorganized, the direct reference that is given to that person is how messy that person is. I'm sure his life will be messy, his work will also be unorganized. I will not give responsibility to this person who is unorganized. When I see a very neat and clean desk, and there are a few studies, I'm not going into details of the studies, but essentially the study says, and this comes from Marie Kondo, a book called Joy at Work. That study says, when you have organized your desk, and why only studies? Take 5am Club, Robin Sharma, take Brian Tracy's examples. They all have one statement to make. Distraction is a killer of focus. To focus, the most important thing that distracts you in the office environment is your desk, your immediate environment, 5 feet in front of you. If that is distracting you, how will you be able to focus on work? So the first advice given to people in the office environment with respect to workspaces, organize it. Keep it neat, tidy, and organized. It will increase your ability to focus, your ability to work deeply, your ability to generate results as well, plus a good impression in the minds of other people. To which I say, make it a habit. You have to make your daily desk arrangement into a habit, and it is highly, highly recommended that you do it at the time you leave the office, not when you arrive at the office. There is another research to support this. When there was this research essentially said that when you arrive at a messy desk, it messes up your mental state of mind also. When you arrive at a desk which is neat, clean, tidy, you feel pleasant, you feel happy, and that day goes more productive than a day when you arrive at a messy desk. So the best time to have this distraction-free environment created is before you leave the office environment. After you shut down the computer or pack your bag, you arrange and tidy your desks and visualize the happiness that you will have when you will reach the desk in the morning. Now, again, a wonderful video which I think will not go forward as per expectations. So I'll just skip it into the last section for the day. We will end with Etiquettes now. How we communicate over technology matters. There's a thumb rule. See, once we get into the job, we'll be very, very busy people. You will soon realize people don't work to the level of efficiency or potential they are supposed to. आपको लोगों के साथ coordinate करना होगा. Your work will be dependent on others, and what will eventually start happening is we will start taking follow-ups from each other, and that quantity of follow-ups will be so tremendous. There will be a point of time in your professional life where you will not respond to an email. कि ये तो मुझे follow up करने ही वाला है, मैं respond करके क्या करूं, मेरे पास तो जवाब भी नहीं है अभी. I don't even have an answer for the other person. How can I respond to that email? And you will not. And that will be the mistake you make. We always respond to an email that is asking for an answer in 24 hours time, no later than 24 hours. It is okay to wait for 24 hours. If you still don't have an answer for the other person, email them back saying your email has been received and acknowledged. We are working on it. I will be able to respond back to you in a week's time, in 10 days time. I will be able to give a status update in 10 days time. But उसका मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि आप 10 दिन के बाद email का respond करो, right? An acknowledgement of that communication कि उनका email आया, उनका message आया, उनका meeting invite आया, 24 hours के अंदर एक जवाब वापस चला जाना चाहिए. And that is wonderful email etiquette. Now, there are some essential things that will make your communication absolutely wonderful. There is this one simple habit of after I pick up the phone, I will smile. I will smile. I assure you, the one thing that is missing on telephonic conversations is body language. And the only way the other person is judging you is on your voice. So, if every time you pick up the phone, there is cheerfulness to be heard, it'll create a wonderful, wonderful conversation throughout your professional life. All I ask is this: after I pick up the phone, I will smile. That's it. It's enough. Now, there is another error that we usually make. We don't introduce ourselves thinking कि सामने वाले ने कॉल किया है तो उसको तो पता होना चाहिए हम कौन है. No, I'm not talking about wrong numbers. In the professional environment, you will call from desk phone to desk phone in the office, and one desk phone might be shared between 2 people, 4 people. So it is always a good habit when you call or when you receive the call to first say your name. I am Dhvani. This is Dhvani speaking, so that the other person knows. It is highly preferable to have conversations in silent surroundings, and speaker phones. My goodness, there are terrible examples in my 10 years of corporate life where disasters have happened with speaker phones. Let me give you a very funny example. And I assure you, this is not a one-off example. This is an example that repeats itself every once a month for almost everybody. किसी का कॉल आया, हमने उठाया और स्पीकर फोन पे रख दिया. Why? I don't want to be working on my laptop and the phone on my ear. The desk phone, not the mobile. When I put it on speaker phone, I forget to mention it to the other person. Now there are 2-3 people around me. The other person during the middle of the conversation happens to start talking about somebody who is around me. And there is embarrassment all around. It is embarrassing for me कि मैंने speaker phone पे रखा. It is embarrassing for the person commenting on the other side of the line. It is embarrassing for the person listening also. And this happens. This happens and we need to be extremely careful. The simple rule is this: the moment I put somebody on speaker phone, I have to say immediately. I don't wait. I immediately say, excuse me, I have put you on speaker phone and XYZ person is also around listening in on the conversation. They should know. We have to give them the respect to let them know और कौन सुन रहा है और आप speaker phone पे है, so that a professional tone is used. Let me give you another example. Another very common thing. We call friends, and you know how friends talk to each other. They use all sorts of words to initiate the conversation amongst each other, and then they go on to the topic at hand. अब मानो speaker phone पे है and all those words are coming out in a wide audience. Again, the same situation, correct? So these are basic things that we need to take care of. Another common thing that, thank goodness, to mobiles is not happening anymore. There was a point of time as recent as 10 years ago that in a corporate environment, people used to call each other to gossip. Yeah, for personal calls. And for office gossip, they used to use these telephones in the desk, on the desk. Please don't do that anymore. Mobiles का ज़माना काफी हद तक आगे बढ़ चुका है. For any personal talk, pick up your mobile and call other people. No more desk phones. You might be surprised at what I'm saying, but I believe, Ajit sir, HT Patel sir know exactly what I'm talking about. Right? 10 साल पहले बहुत बड़ा issue था corporates में. Now, when there are conference calls, when I say a conference call, it could be a video conference call. What I am at the moment talking about is audio conferences. Multiple people join in on an audio call. There are, imagine there are 10-15 people on the audio call. And the worst mistake to happen is we are not on mute. Imagine 10 people at 10 different locations, unmuted. Thanks to COVID, thanks to Zoom, this culture has now taken place where we all go on mute. But you know how interruptions happen. Trust me, I have heard dogs barking in the background in audio conferences in my HCL days, 10 years ago. So weird things happen. Mute yourselves. Second is, it's always the host who joins first. Many a times people slip up. It's like 10 people joining the call and hearing music because the host has not joined, right? In a conference call, never put anybody on hold, because you are not putting one person on hold. You are the wasting time of 15 people around you, because everybody will be hearing the hold music. And this is a very common error to make. Maybe some of us are Gujaratis, and imagine if 5 Gujaratis get together in an audio call and start talking in Gujarati. The people who don't understand Gujarati, who are not natives of Gujarat, will feel what? Will feel insulted. This is exactly what happened when I went to Chennai, and in a group meeting, people are talking in their local language, and I feel left out and alone. So be careful to the language you use on audio calls, audio conference calls. We need to use common language that everybody understands. It's all too common a mistake to make. I think there is there's a wonderful video I would have loved to show you, which is of Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan Chase president, right? But somehow not working out today. Maybe I'll share the link separately. The point I'm trying to make over here is meetings. The last part of meetings is respect people by sticking to the agenda and not wasting time on other office gossip in a meeting. Respect the time of people, respect the work you have come here to do, help people as far as necessary. That is true team spirit. And once you get into the office, you will soon realize talking to people, networking, going around, introducing yourself will be very essential to your career growth. So that is what you will be expected to do eventually. And once you settle down in a career or an organization, it will be your turn to extend the same courtesy to people who join the organization in your team. It will be us at one point of time who will help them, who will help them grow, who will help them get settled in their first week of the job. And I assure you, my friends, when you help a newcomer in the organization to feel comfortable and settle down, take them out to lunch with your team, show them the culture, informal and formal culture, talk to them, get them introduced to other people in the department, they will respect you for a long time. You will establish wonderful goodwill with them. I think that point is sufficient for us today to end the session. I present the platform open for any questions that you may have and hand this back over to